Howdy folks, Timber Drifter here. Smoking a Peterson Aaron, I'm going to call it a pot shape, that I recently received from Brad over at Pipes and Kayaks. I've got some GLP's Gaslight in it. It's a P-lip. My first time smoking a P-lip, and it is Halloween night. On my way out to the cemetery. Sidewalk from town. I figured there'd be some people out here. Halloween night in the cemetery. I don't see anybody yet. It's kind of my go-to spot for walks here. It's the only place I can really walk distance where I'm not on a road. It's my first smoke in this pipe, and it's taking me some getting used to the shape of that bit. I found the spot in my teeth where it'll sit now. I kept blocking the hole in the P-lip with my tooth. But I got it now. So this cemetery is a pretty interesting place. I've looked at just about every grave here. There's a handful of Civil War veterans, a handful of Civil War deaths. There's a Medal of Honor winner from the Spanish-American War. Quite a few World War II, handful of World War I, some Vietnam. It's a pretty small cemetery, and it seems to me there's a pretty high concentration of veterans in this cemetery. Couldn't ask for a better night for Halloween, though. Beautiful, chilly, overcast, which makes for kind of a muted sunset, but it tends to be, more consistent coloration rather than those wild streaks of bright pastels you get with high pressure system. Anyway, not particularly spooky. Pretty peaceful. Thanks, Brad. So my hometown has a Halloween themed celebration that lasts, the bulk of it is about 4 days. I suppose the activities last about a week. But I haven't been to it in probably at least a decade. And I went to it 4 nights or 3 nights. 3 days, 3 nights, something like that. Ate a lot of street food, watched 3 parades, hung out with a couple friends. It was interesting to see the new generation of teenagers up there wandering around. There's a midway with games you can win, large stuffed prizes made in China, and plastic trinkets and things, and rides. It's kind of like a county fair anywhere else. It's just Halloween themed. There's lots of people wandering around a bandstand and eating street food and talking. So it was interesting to see the groups of teenagers with their wild hairdos and torn up clothing and stuff. Those styles where everyone's trying to look like an individual, but they all end up looking the same, wandering around, flirting with each other and making rude comments and running around. Everybody clustered into their little packs, or cliques, or whatever you want to call them. And I remember that. I remember doing that, having fun. But walking around, hardly saw anybody I knew. A few family members. And I probably saw some people that I grew up with, but I didn't recognize them. They didn't recognize me probably either. And it just, confirms for me that although I spent most of 18 years there and went pretty much all the way through school there, lived in a lot of houses in town, rode my bike on every street in town numerous times. It's not my place anymore. And that's all right. I hear folks talking about pretty much what amounts to their glory days. They wish they could get it back. It's high school days and stuff, and I'm 4 dreadful years of high school wasn't my glory days. I wouldn't go back there for any amount of money. I'd rather just keep moving on. But it just, confirms for me that it's not my place anymore and I don't belong there. It's nice to visit, but I don't need to live there. But I spent about 6 hours walking around after the main parade on Saturday. A lot of marching bands from probably about 100 miles around, I'd guess. And I love marching band music. I don't want to listen to it recorded, but I love it listening to it in person right there where you can feel the thump of the drums. But I walked around and looked at my favorite places to ride and some of my old hiding spots, and walked the railroad tracks for a while. A bunch of houses I lived in and that friends and family lived in. My grandmother's homes, which are other people living in them now. They're about 6 blocks apart. And in my 20s, I used to go down there, my hometown, for a month or two in the winter times and stay with both of my grandmothers. Walk back and forth between their houses a couple times a day. Spend time with them. So it was a little bit emotional walking those 6 blocks between the two houses. And some of the other places in town, it was a little emotional being there, remembering, feeling that residue of hometown. I got a road trip ahead of me, so maybe there'll be some videos coming up from that. But this has always been my favorite time of year. I remember when I was a kid and the fair was going on, sometimes if the wind was right, you could catch a whiff of street food when you're outside of the building between classes, and couldn't pay attention the whole rest of the day, after that. Just wanted to get up there and hang out, eat some food, ride some rides. And this time of year also, was the beginning of hunting season for me. So it always... There's a coyote running over there. You won't be able to see it, it's too far away, but anyway, always beginning of hunting season for me, and I like wintertime best, fall. So just a pleasant time of year. It's nice to be here in Kansas again for that. And watch a lovely sunset on Halloween night in a cemetery with a good pipe and a good tobacco. So, well, I'm going to get going before it gets dark, and I doubt there'll be any hoodlums out, but perhaps a zombie or two, who knows. Anyway, take care, folks. Happy Halloween. Get outside.